In the Warcraft universe, some villains are just born evil, but the truly terrifying ones, they're made. Today, we're digging into the tragedy of Ner'zhul, the story of how a noble hero's fall from grace created one of the biggest, baddest monsters in history.
I opened many doors, all led to agony. Those are the words of Ner'zhul himself. It's such a chilling summary of a journey that started with the best intentions, but, well, it ended in absolute damnation. It's a scary reminder that even the noblest path can lead straight to ruin.
So, that's the big question we're going to tackle, isn't it? How did this happen? It's a story packed with manipulation, desperation, and the corrupting influence of power. And to really understand the monster, we have to go back to the beginning. We have to understand the man. Right. So, before he was the Lich King, before the endless armies of the undead scourge were even a thought, he was just Ner'zhul, a respected shaman, a spiritual guide, basically a pillar of his community. On his homeworld of Draenor, Ner'zhul wasn't just somebody, he was the guy. As the Elder Shaman of the powerful Shadowmoon clan, his wisdom was sought by everyone. He was a unifier, a real leader. And, in a decision that would change everything, he took on this really ambitious apprentice named Gul'dan, a choice that, oh boy, would have catastrophic consequences. Every tragedy has that one single turning point. For Ner'zhul, it wasn't really a choice he made, but a devastating lie he was told. This is the exact moment where the noble shaman began to die and a monster started to take his place. The cruelty of this whole deception was just absolute. The demon lord Kil'jaeden didn't just lie. He weaponized Ner'zhul's deepest love and grief. By pretending to be Ner'zhul's dead wife, he just completely bypassed all his defenses. He created a scapegoat out of the peaceful Draenor and framed a war of aggression as self-defense. And whenever Ner'zhul started to have doubts, Kil'jaeden just doubled down, escalating his lies to make sure the shaman stayed right under his thumb. And this really shows you the nightmare Ner'zhul was trapped in. He thought he was following the sacred guidance of his wife and the ancestors to save his people. But in reality, he was just a pawn in a demon's ancient grudge. When he finally went to the sacred mountain of Oshu'gun to speak with the real spirits, they turned their backs on him. The deception was complete, and his shame was absolute. So what happens when Ner'zhul finally figures it all out and refuses to play along anymore? Well, Kil'jaeden just discards him. He hands all that power over to his much more ambitious and way more corruptible apprentice, Gul'dan. Ner'zhul was left with nothing, forced to just stand by and watch as the monster he helped create led his people down a path to ruin.
Now, after the Horde, the big, unified orc army, was defeated on Azeroth, Ner'zhul actually got a second chance at leadership. But the man who came back wasn't a noble shaman. No, he was broken, he was paranoid, and he was obsessed with one thing and one thing only: escape, no matter the cost.
He was being haunted by these visions of his people dying out on a shattered world. So Ner'zhul came up with this really desperate plan. He'd gather all these powerful, magical artifacts to rip open portals to new worlds. And in a really twisted bit of irony, one of those artifacts was the skull of his treacherous apprentice, Gul'dan. The very man who betrayed him was now just a tool, his dark magic poisoning what little was left of Ner'zhul's soul. And with that one declaration, the selfless spiritual leader was completely gone, replaced by a tyrant. This wasn't about saving the orcish people anymore. This was about his own power, his own survival. He had fully embraced the darkness he once tried to resist. At the Black Temple, Ner'zhul tapped into the magical lifeblood of his own planet, its ley lines, and the power was just intoxicating. In his arrogance, he forgot about everyone but himself. He opened the portals, grabbed his loyal followers, and just fled, leaving the entire rest of the Horde to die. The magical backlash from his ritual was so huge that it literally tore his world to pieces. But, you know what? There was no escape. Ner'zhul left his world, his people, and his past behind, but he could not outrun the demon he once served. What was waiting for him on the other side wasn't a new life, but an eternity of torment. Yep, the freedom he was looking for, it was a total lie. That portal wasn't an escape route. It was a trap, laid by Kil'jaeden all along. After destroying his own planet to get away, he landed exactly where the demon lord wanted him. There was nowhere left to run. Kil'jaeden gave him a choice: serve the Burning Legion forever, or suffer agony beyond anything you can imagine. Ner'zhul refused. So the demon lord made good on his threat. He systematically tore Ner'zhul's body apart.
piece by piece, all while keeping his spirit alive and aware so he could feel every single moment of it.
After his spirit finally shattered, Ner'zhul was reborn. Kil'jaeden fused his tortured soul into a suit of armor and a cursed runeblade, creating this being of immense psychic power and pure malice. This new entity, the Lich King, was then chucked to Azeroth with one job: create an undead army to serve the Legion. The shaman was gone, replaced by a jailer in a prison of ice.
But even trapped in this new form, a tiny sliver of Ner'zhul's will remained, and his final acts weren't about servitude, they were about defiance, and they set in motion a chain of events that would leave a permanent scar on the world of Azeroth.
In a final act of rebellion, the Lich King betrayed his demonic masters. He lured the human prince, Arthas Menethil, to become his champion, his physical host. But when they merged, the sheer force of Arthas's will was stronger, consuming Ner'zhul's consciousness and silencing the old shaman for good. The last little pieces of his soul were cast into the Maw, a realm of eternal damnation, to suffer for all time.
And in the end, after all the torment, all the power, all the destruction, his very last thought was of the wife whose memory was stolen to start his damnation in the first place. A final, heartbreaking callback to the man he used to be before all the lies began.
So, where does that leave him? He was deceived, he was broken, yet his own selfish choices led to the destruction of entire worlds. Was Ner'zhul a victim who became a monster? Or was that capacity for evil always there, just waiting for a little push? That's the tragic question at the heart of his story. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.